In 1891, J. Norman Collie, a skilled hiker, professor, and member of the Royal Geographical Society, was hiking alone around the summit of Ben Macdui, the second highest mountain in the United Kingdom. He was returning from a burial ground when he began to hear someone else's footsteps. Extremely foggy where he was, with every couple of footsteps, he would hear another set crunching in the snow. Collie, extremely terrified, would descend down quickly into the Roth Merchus forest into safety. Something, though, had followed him. Something Collie felt, and although he didn't see it, Collie recognized that something strange was on that mountain. Years later, he would recall his tale in 1925 to the press. While many would ridicule him, others would come forward to share their strange and frightening experiences while climbing the mountain. Hugh D. Welsh, a climber, said that he ascended the summit with his brother in 1904. All day and all night, the two heard slurring footsteps, as if someone was walking through water-saturated gravel. Both men were scared and felt something was near them, and they felt an eerie apprehension. Years later, another strange event would occur in the Cairngorm Mountains, which is the same mountain range that houses the Ben Macdui Mountain. In 1945, Pete Densham was volunteering in the Cairngorm Mountains when one day he reported hearing strange noises. Then a mist began closing in on him, and as this was occurring, he felt as if he was being strangled. He quickly ran away before seeing anything. A few years later, another strange event would occur to a friend of the Denshams, Richard Freer. In 1948, climber Freer wrote about feeling a presence while in the mountain range, and even hearing a high singing note. Freer would also tell the story of another person who had climbed Ben Macdui, but wished to remain anonymous. One day, this climber was camping on the mountain when he woke up to a feeling of inescapable dread. He looked out of his tent and saw a large figure with dark hair but no discernible features. While these men and others would witness something in these mountains, it wasn't until 1958 that the Gray Man was first wrote about by Alexander Tennion in the Scots magazine. Tennion recalls a 10-day hiking trip he had in 1943 ascending the mountain. Tennion says one afternoon he was reaching the summit of the mountain when a mist swirled in. The environment became dark with strong winds and odd sounds. He would hear loud footsteps, and as they grew louder and louder, he suddenly was able to make out a large shape coming at him. Terrified, he pulled out his revolver and fired 3 shots. However, it didn't stop the charging though, and Tennion fled down the path. While these sightings, as well as many other undocumented ones, exist, there's relatively few descriptions of the Big Gray Man. Those that have witnessed it say the creature's large and broad-shouldered, standing over 10 feet tall, with long, waving arms. Also, the creature has an olive complex, or sometimes is covered with short brown hair. Still, it's important to point out, in the majority of cases, the creature is only heard or sensed among the high passes of the mountain. Some report seeing him just below the skyline, near the Larg Gru Pass. Witnesses who sense the presence are almost always overwhelmed with a feeling of terror or dread. Sometimes the cases of dread become so intense that hikers are seemingly pulled to the cliff edges, prepared to jump. The only physical evidence of something unexplained in these mountains are several large footprint pictures and blurry pictures of something in the mountain. Over the years, several theories have been discussed as to what these hikers saw or experienced. The first is that it was an optical illusion known as the Brocken specter. A Brocken specter is a natural phenomenon observed on mountains where the shadow of an observer is magnified and suspended as if midair through a unique combination of atmospheric conditions. This natural illusion is known to exist, and some believe that the hikers experienced this. This would explain why no one saw specifics on the Big Gray Man. Others believe that the Big Gray Man, or strange activity, is due to something else. Some say it is the spirit of the mountain. Others believe it is an undiscovered cryptid, or something paranormal, or perhaps extraterrestrial in nature. One other theory is that the hikers experience infrasound. It can be started by the wind, and it is said to cause feelings of nervousness and anxiety. Others suggest that the exhaustion played a role and led the hikers to have these illusions. Many disagree with this, though, as many of the hikers were experienced, and a variety of men felt the strange, dreadful feelings. To date, there's been no explanation as to what happened to these men on the mountain.